Hello, hope you're all doing well. Today we'll talk about, we'll look at chapter 2 of 1 Hour Strategy, really looking at kind of the concept of what is strategy, what it's all about, what are the key components of strategy, what does it mean, etc. So I think it's very interesting. This one won't take too long, but as I said, one of the last lectures, that the key component of this course is we're going to learn how to do strategy development, and strategy is really important for business. Everything depends on it as far as how you determine where you're going forward. And you really see the people that lead a business to real success are the ones that have strategic thinking. You will find that as you go forward in your career that not everybody has strategic thinking. It's kind of a frustration sometimes when you talk about strategy, where you can often find yourself talking to people who don't quite get what you're talking about. I work as a consultant along with teaching here, but my consultancy is really based on working with financial institutions, and I generally help them write their strategic plans or business strategies for a certain type of activity or business line they're going to do, and that and it's really interesting. I love doing it. It's really fun talking to companies and seeing where they're going and helping them shape a strategy. But you invariably run across people in the organization, even quite high up in the organization, that really have a difficult time understanding what you're talking about when you talk about strategy. They think about tactics, business. They think about little steps they're taking, or they may even think about. They may even use the words wrong, what strategy means. But even if they have a strategy, they often fail to go through all the different elements and make it really applicable and real and effective. So that is a challenge. And in a way, it's good for me because it helps me do things with other companies, because not that many people have that much experience in strategy. At the same time, it can be frustrating because you're often trying to convince people to understand what you're trying to just talk about strategy in a way that isn't the day-to-day life that they are generally tend to work toward in business. So let's look at this again. Call up the slides. There are only a few in this one. And you'll see in slide 2, just basically what is strategy. Now, it's good to know that strategy originally was a term used in war. It was meant to talk about how you beat an opponent on the battlefield. It was basically surrounding military tactics and battlecraft. And in those days, they thought that our military strategy was how to win a battle, use our strengths. And it wasn't really until the 40s and 50s that people thought of using strategy as a word, trying to take it from the military and apply it to the battle of businesses or whatever. And that's all. And actually, it works pretty well. And an accepted definition of strategy is like the application of strength, advantage, differentiating factors against weakness, disadvantage, or sameness. And you can see how strongly that draws from military thinking, and I actually think it works pretty well. I think in basic strategy, you're saying, what are we really strong at? How can we win? And how can we go against the competition and beat them? So it's simplistic, but that's really what you're trying to do in a lot of ways. The famous writer Sun Tzu in The Art of War quote is, "So in a war, the way is to avoid what is strong and strike at what is weak." And you often see that in a business where, you think, am I going to go head-to-head against these guys that have been there longer, very difficult, or find some way around, some innovation? And when you think about entrepreneurship, it's often exactly that. How do I avoid hitting my competition right where they're strong, and instead do something where they're less strong, even weak, they don't even care about? Maybe they overlook it, or maybe you can be the supplier to them, exactly what they need, and make a lot of money that way. But it really is you have to be perceptive, and really you can really, if it's like playing a sport. If you think these guys have a fantastic defensive line, and you just think, well, we have a running back, we're going to keep running into the line, but you run right into their strength. However, maybe they're not so fast on the outside, maybe they don't do pass coverage so well, or any number of things. So, it's a lot like that. Who you are, what they are, and how you can work around that. Then whenever you think about strategy, you have to talk about the likelihood or certainty of events. What's the percentage chance of this thing working? And the more you think, and the more you use your logic to think, because a strategy in ways like a hypothesis, and so you think, I think this is going to happen. Well, so why do you think that? Because hopefully you think that based on facts, but think that based on logic, and putting all those facts together, including who and what you are, who and what the competition is, your product set, etc., and saying, okay, now therefore I think this. And you see a lot of times people say, well, we should do this, but where, based on what? So a lot of the strategic thing comes in a way of developing facts that are strong enough and good enough and solid enough that you feel you can make a believable and credible and presentation or recommendation, and that you can stand behind and you can fund. So that's a big thing. If you have really good facts, for example, say you know everything about a country that you're thinking about working in, you know all about them. You've grown up there, or maybe you have connections there. You know all about it. However, it's still one of the most fluctuating, unstable, difficult, politically unsafe, or physically unsafe environments. It doesn't matter how much you know about it. You may not be able to actually make that work as an operating element of your business, because it's the factors that are against you, the challenges are too great. So sometimes you'll think, okay, this is a difficult market, very difficult market, but because of risk reward, we can make a lot of money. Well, then you make a small bet, you make a short-term step in that direction. You don't commit your whole business, etc. So those are the big things. The more you know, the more stability, the higher you can invest, and the more confident you have in your decision. The less stable, the more risky, the more difficult, the more unknown, then it would be wise to make a lower investment and take less chance. It's like if you go to a horse race. If a horse is a 50 to 1 odds or 200 to 1 odds, you're not going to bet everything you have on it, because that horse probably won't win. But you might think, I'll slip a couple bucks, so if it wins, I feel great. So that's the kind of a thing. And of course, it's more complex than horse racing, but it's the concept is that. And really, whenever you think about strategy, the ideas are really important. In fact, I've got there, the combination of inspired ideas and logic is the cornerstone of effective strategy. Basically, you want to know as much as you can, and from that come up with great ideas and apply those ideas. That's really where you have a lot of fun and also be effective strategy. And the last slide in this is the guiding principle of small business strategy. You can take that for all business. And basically, you're going to see there that the businesses, this is strategic development for businesses in general. So, and we're going to go through those, not that in not that much detail, but because it's right there. But I just want to highlight a few things. One, whenever you do a strategy, it's really important to be honest with where you are. You'll see a lot of companies that will avoid admitting who and what they are in terms of weakness. Maybe everyone in a company is afraid to talk about their weaknesses because that's frowned upon. If you don't know where you are, it's like I'm going to drive to Orlando from Miami. If you don't know you're Miami, you certainly can't draw the map up there. If you think you're somewhere else, you're not going to be able to get where you want to go. So a key part of strategy is being really honest with who and what you are and where you are as a company. And you'll find that many companies don't do that. They either don't really understand where they are, or they have a culture that prevents talking about the negative of going forward. You look at all sorts of things like that. You see that. Then you want to clearly define what I'm trying to do and what should I be trying to do. Maybe you're trying to grow a business and you've gotten off track. Maybe you should be trying to grow the business in a little bit different way. You really want to be always fundamentally clear on where you are and what you should be doing. And then once you do that, you can say, this is where I want to go, this is what I should be doing, and there's a gap. And that gap is really the key to strategy formation, because it's fixing that gap is where you be successful. Say you've got a business and you're thinking about taking these high-priced electric bicycles or something like that to France. Everybody likes riding bikes in France, and maybe they this. So you think, this is going to be great. So and you find out that I've been doing this, I've been trying to sell this, but it's not working. It's not working. And what I've been what I really need to do is kind of make an adjustment. I don't really know how things work there. I don't really know. And you find out all of a sudden your electric motor works on, it just has a more difficult time handling the direct voltage current than it does at alternating we have here. Simple thing, but you didn't know that. So you fixed that. And so when you fix those things, you fix your gap and you can go forward. Okay, so we're going to cover this next part a little bit more later on, but basically for any strategy to work, you have to figure out what can we do best, where can we be first or top or make a difference, and am I willing to commit to what I'm trying to do with my passion, product, service, resources, including monetary, and do I know what makes the business work? And as I said, we'll cover this in more. This is really fundamental to strategy and fundamental to any new business venture is being able to say, can we make a difference? Can we make it work? Can we make a hit on this? Why us? Do we have the passion, products, money, resources, time, dedication, content, all those different things that go into it? Do we have what it takes to be successful? And finally, do we know what makes a business work there? Like we all hear, restaurants, location, location, location. Okay, that's probably mostly true. So why would you build a restaurant purpose somewhere behind a gas station unless it's like really, really good? So the thing is that same thing applies, and in most kinds of drivers are going to be price, location, quality, innovative factors, all sorts of things that go in there. But you really need to know those things. We'll cover that more. But again, like I said, to any new business, you have to figure out, is it going to be a hit? I mean, is it going to be big enough to make a difference? Why us? Do we have what it takes? Are we willing to commit? And do we know what makes the business work? Okay, then we're going to look at, there's other things I'm not going to cover. These are my personal views on strategy that I've developed over the years, and I think these are really key. You need to be very disciplined. You need to test your creativity. You need to fix and tweak. People say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's completely wrong. Everything in business wears down, changes, falls apart. Just like it's like in real life. It's the physical law of entropy. Things wear down, change, and fall apart. Any business person can tell you we were doing great for a while, and then I don't know what happened. It just stopped working. It's because they weren't fixing, tweaking, adjusting, oiling, whatever, however you're going to put it. You need to constantly tweak and adjust your business because the competition is always after you. It's like a halftime. Sometimes your team's up 17-3 at halftime. You go in there and you think, oh, that's great. We're killing these guys. We'll just do what we've been doing and we'll win. The other team isn't doing that. They're thinking, we're not going to do what we're doing. Now we understand what they're doing. We're going to do everything we can to stop what they were effective and create effectiveness on our side. And that's the same thing in a business. All day long, the people that you're beating are thinking, how can we go back and get them? So if you establish a new type of business in Italy that can do this, all the time they're going to sit there and just watch you do it and say, oh, that's fine, they can let them make all the money. No way. They're going to come up with ways to try to get that market share back from you. So you have to always be on top of it and fix what you're trying to do. You want to focus on people, intelligent, flexible, hardworking people is everything. It's fun to work with great people. It's horrible to work with bad people. So you really want to have the ones you like around you. Strategy without action is dead. There's no truer thing than that. A lot of times people have great ideas. If you've had great ideas, right? You have a great idea, I should do this, and you don't do it. So sometimes even worse. Better not to have an idea at all than not follow through. Strategies like that, with all the different strategic things you think of, they need to be put in place. There need to be action behind them, or the strategy just falls apart. Okay, so then you look at those last things, focus, high gain activities. There's the 80-20 rule we'll talk about from time to time. The 80-20 rule, Pareto's law, basically says that in general in business that you get 80% of your value from 20% of your resources. It can be, I get 80% of my sales from 20% of my people. I get 80% of my profit from 20% of my business activity. It's unfortunate, it happens all the time. I mean, whenever I go in on a consultancy type project, I just depend on the fact that there's going to be an inefficiency to that extent. It'll be an 80-20, that they're going to be having all sorts of activity that produces little, and a small group of whatever they're doing produces a lot. And you say, well, why is that? Well, it's human nature. Now, the 80-20 rule is meant to be broken. Companies make great success by not accepting that, but instead addressing it, saying, you know what, if that's the case, I'm going to fund those 20 guys even more, give them more money, more people, 20%, and get more out of them, and also understand why these other people are ineffective, train them, fix them, whatever it takes to make a difference. But you'll see that all the time. So it's really key in strategy to just assume there's going to be an 80-20. You can bet on it, and it'll cover almost every type of thing that in business activity. There's always going to be a disproportionate benefit from a disproportionately low resource area. Okay, and then you want to do some other things that, like it says there, build shock absorber of the future, and etc. So anyway, those are just two quick slides on, and you see them in the book too, on what strategy is all about. It's really important to know what it is, and also some of the key elements that I've found over the years are really and so much so that I would really encourage you to print this out, keep it, hold on to it. These guiding principles of business strategy are the real deal, and you'll be able to use them your entire business life. All right? Okay, great deal. Well, thanks a lot, and talk to you soon.